showing that we are now live on the stream. So, for those of you joining us, welcome to episode one of Grid and Grind podcast. I'm Justin. I'm also the owner of Team 53. If you guys have spent any time on the Team 53 channel, you see me in just about every video. But I am bringing in my good friend, fellow Team 53 principal, coach, Jacob Elliott. I've known Jacob, what did you say, 3, 4 years now?
Yeah, going on 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
So I met Jacob when I was a builder at another setup shop, and it was like a midday-ish, I'd say late model stock race, and Jacob was running at USA, and it wasn't typical for me in those days. This is when it was the old late model stock on iRacing. I was in a pretty big grind for iRating and everything, and I just really wasn't used to having anyone kind of close to me. And so whenever that would happen, it was always something to where I would try and find out, what setup they might have been on or things of that nature just to kind of pull them in as a house driver. So I messaged Jacob and just kind of asked him what he was on, and we've been friends pretty much ever since.
Yeah. No, we jokingly say that Justin rescued me from under the bleachers at USA.
It was at
So
USA. Yep,
it
yep, it
was
was.
RIP USA Speedway. But
Well, in real life, we still have it in iRacing, but RIP the old iRacing late model stock. That used to be a ton
oh,
of fun. Um, Excuse me for 1 second here. I'm getting our Twitch pulled up so that I can see if anybody is chatting with us. So, if you guys are watching us on YouTube or on Twitch, make sure you guys give us a follow. You can head over Team 53 Discord. It should be in the YouTube link, I believe, for you to be able to get there. I'm not sure if it's on Twitch or not, but we definitely have it there. But Jacob and I both work from home, and this is kind of our lunch hour, so it's going to shoot for right around a 60-minute podcast. I think that'll be just about perfect. Just kind of talk about life, what we've got going on. We're going to have other people join us throughout the week. Some people that couldn't make it today, that maybe can't make it all the time, and that kind of stuff. But Jacob, let's dive in. So we kind of
yeah.
talked this morning, but what were you watching this weekend?
Well, big one was NASCAR back, or I should say back at Bristol with a better tire, in my opinion, that definitely produced a lot more on track action. Um, It was crazy to see the speed difference between the fresh tires, people saving their tires, and worn out tires. And I think that was pretty evident from the get go when Allmendinger burned up his tires about 30 laps in. We knew
Yeah,
it was going to be a long night.
that was pretty crazy for me. I remember watching that and like they had talked about how tires might be an issue, but nobody really thought they were going to be that much of an issue. And then all of a sudden, AJ Allmendinger pits, and I'm like, well, there went the Dinger's chances. And then a couple laps later, everybody else just starts pitting. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you started doing the math, he pitted at 30 laps. Math doesn't math when you have nine sticker tires and then the qualifying tires. So 10 total tires, 10 sets.
Yep.
And it ain't mathing if you're pitting 30 laps into a run. You need to get at least to 50.
Yeah, and that was, it was really cool too to see the teams flip like on a dime once they realized that tires were going to be a problem, and immediately
Mhm.
lap times just tanked.
Yeah. Yeah. Here is we kind of discussed this before the podcast, but here's kind of a hot take between us is should have NASCAR given them that extra set of tires?
And the terrible part
Should they have?
for the podcast is we both agreed they shouldn't have. Like it would have been so
Well,
much better just to give them
yeah.
the 10 sets basically that they had and said figure it out. I mean, could you in theory have taken a right rear that wasn't worn out and put it on the right front? Because it seemed like for most of the teams it was just the right front that was causing problems.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's something that they're allowed to do now, of course they're going through check and stagger and all that. So now you got maybe a right rear that is a little bit worn, goes on the right front.
But I
I
mean,
don't
that's
know.
something we would do a super late model if we were
Yeah.
running at our local track, right? We get a tire that this right front just is not cutting it, you'd make that swap if you were on a tire bank and you had to. You would make that swap and see if it makes any difference. It's something we've done in the past. So it just, I don't know, it would have been kind of cool to see there. What else you watch?
Uh, Dove into a little bit of Supercross.
Okay.
So a little bit of Supercross, you know, very similar in my opinion to NASCAR. You have the 250 series that is hot right now. You got Hayden Deegan, nice little close points race with Joe Shimoda. We'll talk about that here in a second. But the 250 series is like Xfinity. And then the 450, being the Cup, the 450, in my opinion, just isn't as exciting as watching the 250.
Full
And then you
disclosure
have
for me,
all
yeah, I haven't really watched Supercross since probably like the days of Ricky Carmichael and Jeremy
oh
McGrath and
yeah,
like all of them. Occasionally, was it James Stewart that race when
James Stewart, yeah,
Gibbs had
yeah.
a team for a little bit. I've never really been a huge Supercross guy. Two wheels versus four wheels. I respect the heck out of it. It's just not something I typically watch. Um, but I did get sucked back in this last weekend and watched at least a highlight reel on YouTube from the weekend. So, um,
Yeah. Well, big highlight, the one you probably saw was old Hayden Deegan getting taken out by Levi Kitchens,
right.
which then let Joe Shimoda uh, take over the number one spot in the championship. So we're gonna see what happens next round, but I'm thinking Levi is gonna have to watch his back a little bit.
Now, does Supercross, do they have the chase style or is it full season long?
From what I remember, it's full season long.
Okay. So,
Yep.
naturally speaking, they've got full season long championship. And they're how many races to the end of their season? Handful?
Yep. We got quite a few.
Okay. And then I thought there was only like one or two left.
Oh, nope. My apologies. Next week is the championship final,
Okay.
the 20th, Las Vegas.
So they've run their whole season. It comes down pretty much week to week basis on who's going to win the championship.
Yeah, we're looking at standings. I got the standings pulled up right here. You have Hayden Deegan leading the West. Oh, hold on a second.
I might have to pull these up too. I don't know if anybody in the chat knows what we're talking about here too. You guys can chime in. We always like having that. Um,
Oh, this is just pulling the West. I need the 250 overall.
AMA Supercross standings. I have 450. That
Hmm.
was easy. View full
Yeah.
standings. Not really. Oh, Supercross only goes till May. I don't know. But anyway, so from what we do remember, it comes down to Hayden Deegan against Joe
Hmm.
Shimoda, right?
Yep. Haley Deegan, Joe Shimoda, with a little added Levi Kitchens in there.
And then, as I recall from the highlight package that I watched, as long as Shimoda finishes second or wins next weekend, he wins the championship.
Correct.
Okay. So we come into this last race, and it's going to be like an all-out brawl, basically, for who wins.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. And they can get pretty physical.
how do they tech those bikes? Like, how do they ensure that they're not cheating? Is it kind of similar to like when we're at the go-kart track where they tear stuff down, check fuel, like that type of stuff?
Yeah. So they're checking fuel. They can tear down motors. They can do all that. The big one with them though is the sound checks. You have all these different places that regulate sound volume, and a big thing with those bikes is obviously the more flow that you can get out of the exhaust, the more power they're going to make. So a lot of them are right on the edge with their muffler setup. It's that fine line between flow and sound, and there has been speculation in the past that some bikes will actually, or some teams will put in a special tune to go through tech, and then they put a different tune in for the race.
Hmm.
So it's definitely very interesting when it comes to teching those bikes.
They don't tech them again after the race to ensure they're still in sound compliance.
I'm sure they pull them randomly if need be, but yeah, for the most part, I know they tech them prior. But I'm sure they can pull them at any point and take a look at them.
It just seems like that's kind of like going back to the NASCAR days of when uh, when they would put lead in the cars. They'd only weigh them before the race,
Hmm.
right? And you put lead in the car, you get the little
You had a
hole.
200-pound radio.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. So just, I don't know, kind of interesting there.
yeah.
Anything else on Supercross for you?
Supercross. That was about it.
All right.
Kind of
Uh,
getting back into it, so you guys might hear more of it. Well, you'll hear next. We'll follow up next week, but um, yeah, no, I'm definitely back in Supercross. Hayden has got me going all in on it.
ooh, all in on Hayden Deegan.
You know what? At least there's another Deegan family member that I like, and I like
Was
his
it
dad, and I like him. But
was it the
uh,
donuts in the parking lot that got you back, or I
it
mean,
was, it was, it was the donuts in the parking lot, and then him showing up next weekend with a suit that looked like he had just come out of county jail.
okay,
So
that's
that
fair.
had me all in.
We'll give that to you. Um, V8 supercars, big weekend for those.
Oh yeah,
Jacob is a
V8.
very big V8 supercar fan. He loves running them on iRacing. He likes watching them on TV. You subscribe to, there's a V8 supercar thing that you can subscribe to on YouTube, right?
Yep. So you can subscribe to their main channel. It's like $8. So essentially one trip through a fast food drive through. I mean, at this point, it's half of a trip. But
Right.
um,
Burger, no
no,
fries
eight
or a drink.
dollars and it's exactly $8. You get all their content. The nice thing about it is, and I preach this, I absolutely love the way they have this set up. You get a 10-hour video. I kid you not, 10-hour long video of the V8 supercar just for that day, and they'll typically run 3, sometimes 4 days. And there's everything. You can have GR86s, you can have vintage cars, you can have open wheelers, you can have. They run a little series called ARC. It's essentially kind of a 70% model of a Mustang or Camaro with a motorcycle engine. I mean, it. You get all this content for $8. So
And
it's something
that's
that I throw on and let
those
it ride.
those art cars are what we ran in Automobilista, right?
Yep, yep. So
Okay.
Automobilista, it's those little tiny cars, really
Yep, yep.
fun.
Yeah, yeah, we had lots of fun with those. They're kind of like a legend car, but similar to like
Yeah,
with the
very
body
similar to a
lines of a V8
Legend,
supercar.
but yep, yep.
Yeah,
Little
because you're
70% version.
sitting center seat. You
Hmm.
got all that going. Okay.
Yep. Um, but no, their broadcast, personally, I think it's the best broadcast out there when you compare it to F1 or NASCAR, anything else. I think it's one of the better broadcasts. They, in my opinion, they treat you like a race fan. So they'll give you technical knowledge. If you're a really technical person, you understand it, you like it. If you're not a very technical person, you can definitely learn from it.
Is it like the old days of like the NASCAR cutaway car, or are we going like even more advanced, so to speak?
No, just like the old days, where NASCAR used to have the cutaway car. Now their cutaway car is digital, but then sometimes they do bring in real props to look at. Uh, but they explain everything and they break it down for you. They break down the fuel strategies, the tire strategies, the deltas, all that.
And they do that like during the course of the race broadcast, or like,
Yep.
you're talking about it's a 10-hour broadcast. So like I'll watch, like a Grid Life or a Who's Your Super Tour or things of that nature on YouTube, where it'll be all day long and they'll just have series running and there's dead time that they've got to fill in the middle of there. They just do that right
Hmm.
on the regular broadcast when most people would be watching.
Yeah. Yep. 10-hour long broadcast. They might come in with the main announcers, explain a little clip of what just occurred from that day's practice or qualifying. Um, and then they rotate their announcers out. So each series kind of has its own
Yep.
announcers. But no, they'll come in, do little clip its. They might do kind of your 30 for 30 style ESPN short little documentary on somebody or something. Um, but then, kind of leading up to the race, they'll give you a full on, here's the track, here's the layout, here's what to expect, here's what we're looking for. Any close point battles, because they're kind of going to the playoff style for this season. So No, they definitely set it up real well. They paint the picture for you.
Perfect. Our buddy Ryan is watching on Twitch right now. He says there's nothing else he'd rather be listening to while he's changing an alternator than the sound of our
Oh
voices.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Ryan will be making a guest appearance on here. Probably looking like most Wednesdays he'll be available. So we'll see if we can get a little Wednesdays with Donny uh, segment going on. But no, I mean V8 supercars. It's something I think I started to enjoy it back when Speed Channel was on, and they would kind of have some of those races on there. And then obviously, I think most of us have probably seen when Darrell Waltrip went over there to broadcast, um, and just kind of seeing his reaction to it. And I think too, Jacob, you and I have talked about this as well. The
Mhm.
similarities between the NASCAR Next Gen and the V8 Supercar is incredible.
Yeah, I mean when you break it down, so going from a very technical standpoint, um, the V8 supercars use more of a stock style engine,
Yep.
but they're both unique. You have your Ford Coyote and then you have your Chevy LS or your GM LS. But they're very much stock style. Now, the way that the V8 supercar produces its downforce is all what's called overbody. So, front splitter going over the hood, windshield, roof, but then the big one is the rear wing. Now, they don't use um, a diffuser on the undercarriage of the back. It's open. Now, when you look at NASCAR, NASCAR uses what's called underbody. So yeah, it still uses the same splitter, and you do get a little bit of downforce off the nose, windshield, and the rear spoiler, but the majority of the downforce is produced from the air that's going under the car and out the rear diffuser. And in my opinion, that's what kind of causes some of these not so good races is all the air is manipulated under the car, which can cause it to kind of be a little bit more dirty
Yep.
than if it was going over the car. I think if we had over the car kind of aerodynamics, I think what you would see in the Cup Series is it would be a better product. Um, if you look at the trucks and the Xfinity, some of those races are better because they don't have the same uh, underbody aerodynamics. They don't have any.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you see in the
So
trucks, though, the trucks punch such a big hole in the air that it kind of makes them plowing tight, so to speak, in a lot of
yeah,
cases. The mile and a halfs. But I mean, going back to when the truck series was started, these trucks were not meant to run mile and a half tracks. They were built and kind of configured to run the short tracks. It was supposed to be the series that would go around the country and get kind of the common fan, the markets that weren't big enough to have an Xfinity Series race or a Cup Series race to give them that NASCAR National Tour race. You look at they used to go out to the Pacific Northwest, and they'd run at a couple tracks out there. They'd run Louisville had this little teeny tiny bull ring that was an absolute dump, but the trucks would come there. They were really created Tucson Raceway Park out in Arizona, and they would run as part of the NASCAR Heat package for winter heat. And that's another thing that, NASCAR spending a ton of money to bring this new ad agency in to get them back to their roots. When in reality, really all NASCAR's got to do is just get back to the things that grew the sport back in the 90s. Is bring back NASCAR Winter Heat. We've got racers, there's cars all over the country, pro late models, super late models, all over the country. And at this point, I mean, we pretty much all are running a fairly similar rules package. Few things with engines and carbs and stuff like that that really aren't that big of a deal to tweak. But they could set up a series at Tucson Raceway Park and kind of get back to that and really kind of have that grassroots feeling. And I know we're completely off topic from running supercars, but I mean, this is how it goes with the two of us.
oh
But
yeah,
but they could get back to it and they could have that. We saw the race NASCAR race at Bristol this last weekend. We both talked about how wonderful that was. It was absolute chaos. But I think the biggest thing that I noticed was I was a season ticket holder at Bristol from like probably about 10 years. I think my parents had season tickets at Bristol. And it was the old Bristol where it was bottom dominant. If a car got in your way, you bumped him out of the way, or you had to try and dive him going into the corner and get him up in that second lane. And then when you're in that second lane, it was just kind of a freight train until you could find a hole and get back in. And
Oh,
that
sounds pretty familiar.
yes, but that's what made Bristol of, I would say, the mid 90s up until they reconfigured it with the progressive banking in the corners. That's really what made Bristol Bristol. And when you're talking about NASCAR, a way to make NASCAR NASCAR would be to take these truck teams, give them the halftime break like they do with Xfinity Series when they go to Portland. Bring that back so that they're not having to bring the traveling pit crews, right? So when the trucks first started out, they'd run their race, they'd get to a halfway point, and then there'd be like a 10-minute break at halftime, they called it, right? So they'd pull into the pits, the teams could do their tires, they could do whatever they needed to. But the whole premise was so that these teams didn't have to hire a Cup Series team. They didn't have to bring in a full pit crew. And it really kind of grew the Truck Series out. And I remember when the Truck Series announced they were going to Daytona for the first time. And everybody's like, this, I don't know about this. I mean, these things, they punch a huge hole and they put on a great show. Um, Probably because they're not meant to put on a show at those tracks, but it just, I don't know. We spend a lot of money on, or NASCAR spending a lot of money on getting back to grassroots, and it seems pretty simple to me. You take the trucks, you put them back on the local tracks. You tell the local tracks, hey, we're going to give you guys, you need to have a safer barrier. Well, guess what? NASCAR is going to spend the $1 million to put the safer barrier in at those tracks, and you're going to get 3 years out of the truck series. And what does it do? It reinvests it back into the sport, which is going to make it safer for your weekly racer. Whether it's a guy racing at Tucson Raceway Park where they've got a big opening for the pit gate, or a guy at South Boston, or wherever it might be. It just kind of makes the racing safer for them. It invests money back into those facilities, which helps keep the sport healthy. And it just, I don't know, instead of spending the money we are on ad agencies, that seems pretty simple to me, but what do I know?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Bring the trucks back to South Boston.
Yeah, well, I don't know if South Boston's the best choice, but
uh,
South Boston, you could take them. Berlin Raceway is one in Michigan that a lot of people love. Um, that track doesn't have a backstretch wall. Maybe that's something you look at is, can we get that in there? Can we find some other hole in the wall tracks? Evergreen up in Washington would be a great track for the trucks. All of those, and it would get NASCAR back into those markets that they've really left and that they've left behind. But that's, like I said, that's just kind of my opinion. Rant over. Back to supercars. We got anything else on them? Who won this weekend?
Supercars, our buddy Brody Kostecki won.
Ooh, okay. When's
So,
he making his next NASCAR kick? Do we know?
well, they actually just started a podcast called Lucky Dogs.
Okay.
So Brody Kostecki and his buddy, whose name just escaped me, Will Brown,
Okay.
just started a podcast. Fantastic. Give it a listen. Um, but based on the podcast, Brody is not expected back in NASCAR. And Will Brown, who just made, I believe, his third NASCAR start, 2 Cup, 1 Xfinity, is not expected back either.
Okay.
But you kind of got this very weird climate over there. So it appears that they do a ton of racing because, they're currently at 27 events,
Okay.
which if you compare that to the Cup Series, that's 27 weekends. But for them, they'll do sometimes up to 4 races, typically 3, throughout the season on the same weekend.
Okay.
So really, they've only done about 12, 10 to 12 weekends overall this year where they've actually been racing.
Okay.
So it's kind of a weird climate because, yeah, this is their premier sport and it is premier. If you look worldwide, I'd consider it a premier motorsport, but they're just not running enough weekends to where it's sustainable. A lot of these dudes have to go out and get second jobs just to sustain their lifestyle, just to live. They're just not making enough just off the supercars alone. So, if they were able to kind of fill out a lot more of the weekends, I, I don't know. I think it'd be a positive for him. Then
Do,
on the flip side,
do they have the tracks though to run that many weekends?
they already um, they already do duplicate tracks sometimes.
That's what I'm saying.
So
Like,
I think a couple seasons ago they were going back to Sydney twice in the same year. So I mean, here's a hot take. Bring them over here.
they've done that before.
Bring it,
They
bring them
brought him to
over here
Coda.
for say 2 months. I mean, you want to talk about travel, okay? So travel's one thing, but bring them over here for 2 months. Have them run your Long Beach or your Coda. As much as I hate Coda, Road America. We have plenty of good tracks here that they can run at.
It it's plausible. I mean, you have to obviously find the money for it, but I think TV or streaming would probably be king here in the US. Help cover some of that
Yeah.
expense at least. I mean,
Listen, look at how Prime did.
yeah,
You
I
think Prime could take a leap there? I mean,
the first thing that came to mind was High Limit going to Australia. But when I thought back on that, the majority, if not all of them, were just driving cars from down there. So we don't really have V8 supercars here to where they could just, all right, we're going to fly in and race this weekend. It would be like a NASCAR
mhm.
going to Suzuka back in the day where they ship them, or like a Formula One, they ship them overseas. IndyCar doesn't go overseas at all anymore, do they? They
Nah,
don't.
no,
They don't.
no, they
Definitely
don't
don't do
cross an
Surfers
ocean.
Paradise. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
nope.
I mean, I could see a month, 2 months here in the States for V8 supercars.
Yeah, so with V8 supercars, they do a lot of their testing, their parity testing is what they call it. That way, the Ford and the Chevy are equal in Charlotte. So they actually have cars here,
Really?
sent cars here to do the parity testing, the wind tunnel, the engine dynos. A lot of that's done in Charlotte.
I did not know that.
So they're very familiar with the with sending the cars over here. Now, of course, you got to get the teams. They're actually not allowed any backup cars at the racetrack, so they only bring one car to the track. Now they'll bring parts and pieces. If they bang up a bumper or a front clip or something like that, they'll bring those, but are not allowed a backup car.
Hmm, interesting. All right.
Yeah, Brody Kostecki, Todd Hazelwood. This was the first endurance race, so they took home the top spot.
So the endurance races, we talked about this for those who aren't familiar with V8 supercars, but basically they take a current driver,
Mhm.
and then they pair them with either a retired driver or a young driver, right, Jacob?
Correct. So in this case, we'll talk about Brody Kostecki is
Yep.
a current V8 supercar driver, and then Todd Hazelwood runs primarily TA Trans Am there.
Ooh, now we're talking my language.
Trans Am cars. Oh
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So V8 supercars sounds like it was a good weekend, good racing,
Oh yeah. It's always a good weekend when those are on.
and it was at the Bend, right?
Correct.
And we have
Yep.
that on
Then
iRacing, so
we have
if
it
you
on
guys are
iRacing.
iRacers, you can pay your 12.95, 14.95, whatever it is these days, and pick it up and go run it yourself. See what you think of it. Um, let's kind of, I mean, that's probably a good segue over to iRacing. New season 4 build just dropped. A
Hmm.
ton of new stuff. Most notably is the new UI, which seems like in the iRacing community right now is kind of a hot button issue. A lot of people not happy about it. People, you join Facebook groups, you see posts all the time asking if they can go back to the old iRacing UI. I noticed today with the update, it seems like the UI scaling, which a lot of people were complaining about, has been changed a little bit. Looks like it's a little more zoomed in. I know you were on testing a little bit earlier
Hmm.
today. Did you kind of see that same scaling looked a little bigger?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
just a little bit enhanced. Yeah.
Yep. Lots of new cars, new content. I don't have it pulled up what all we got. I can get it pulled up here in a second. But we can talk. A lot of the NASCAR tracks got redone. Um, So, you've got season 4 patch 1 release notes, season 4 release notes. Here we go. So, just kind of real quick, if you haven't seen or if you're not on iRacing, you're looking to get back on, tons of new updates this last season, including new UI, which we just talked about, some updates to the GT3 and GT4 cars, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Got the new Aston Martin,
yep, got the
new
Indy.
BMW,
Yep,
and then you got the new Mustang GT4.
correct. And then the Indy Next car, which you've had a chance to turn some laps on, and you seem to enjoy that.
Yeah, yeah, really good car. Um, I can definitely see where somebody in the IndyCar world would like it. Personally, I don't do too much open wheel, but I can enjoy them.
Have you played with the new hybrid system overhaul?
I have not.
Okay.
So I know a little bit about it, but I really haven't played with it too much. I know that you can no longer, and what we're referring to is the prototypes, the IMSA prototypes, and then you have your Ferrari. You can no longer select what hybrid deployment mode you're in. It is just locked, preset, and off you go.
And that's more similar to how they have it in the real cars, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And then we got, I guess, some NASCAR Gen 4 drafting updates. I don't even own the car, so I haven't tried it yet. So maybe if somebody has tried it, leave us a comment. If you're in the chat and you've tried it, let us know what you think of it. Mexico City was added, and there was a surprise oval layout that they gave us, which is kind of cool. It's a flat 1 mile oval layout in addition to your typical Mexico City track. Rescan and remodeled track Charlotte. Finally got the updated North Wilkesboro, which is really cool. I ran that at night, and that is, if you're from the area, I can see where it would probably give you goosebumps going through it, because that was pretty cool for me. Sonoma, Worldwide Technology Gateway, more commonly known to, and then some of the tracks that they've quote unquote modernized: Chicago Street Course, Coda, which we turned some laps on, and that was interesting there. Daytona, Texas, Watkins Glen, and Oulton Park. One of the things that I think is not necessarily mentioned, I think it's new for this, is that now with a lot of these tracks where NASCAR runs at them, NASCAR doesn't have track limits like any of the other series do. So now, like at Watkins Glen, you can go as wide as you want coming out of one. You can go as wide as you want coming out of the carousel. Um, right before the last turn, you can go wide to the right as far, and it doesn't count as an off track or a time give back, similar
Hmm.
to what NASCAR does. But then if you run like the boot at Watkins Glen, for example, that one it does enforce track limits. Um, so it's just kind of a I thought it was a nice little touch of realism that we've been missing from iRacing for a while. Um, but I think it's going to cause some problems when people actually go to race there in terms of the same things that we saw like in the Xfinity race, for example, and stuff like that.
Cluster.
Yeah. But
I'm a big track limits guy. Come on, keep it on the track. I know it's paved. Don't give me that argument, but just keep it on the track.
it's a NASCAR deal. They're going to let you
It's
run
a
where they want to
NASCAR deal.
run.
Let's just go. Yeah, let's just
Yeah,
go wherever. How
it's
about this?
paved.
Let's just drive to the concessions.
See, my hot take is get rid of the pavement and put it back to grass and cat litter.
Oh, we agree.
And then
Yes.
you just have natural track limits, right? You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's just
How about
naturally going to
how about
limit you.
this? How about we just put a wall about 3 feet from the edge of the track, and then there you go, a
No.
permanent track limit
Well,
solution.
turn one, you kind of. I don't know. You might remember Jimmy Johnson going through the
Oh
divot in
yeah,
one and flying up
yeah.
over. Yeah, so I think that's why we have that extra little runoff area. Plus,
He could have jumped it. Snake River jump.
plus you got to remember too, you got all the club cars that are running there, and that
Yeah,
downhill. I mean, it gives them a
I
little
know
bit
it's
of
not
oomph.
reasonable,
Yes.
but bring back some sand.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, cat litter. Bring that back. And then we get to have full course cautions to pull somebody out of the cat litter. And then we can all complain about how long it takes NASCAR to finish these races because they've got to pull people out of the sand. So
Oh, maybe we go little virtual safety car action,
we can't do that. It's
little
NASCAR.
VSC.
No, no, no.
Oh,
Can't do that. Some compression tracking, which I don't, or compression, texture compression updates, supposed to help with frame rates. VR headset eye tracking. I heard they had some issues with that. I don't know if they've figured any of that out yet. Um, European Spanish, great. I mean, it doesn't affect me at all. And then, um, I mean, it
Jeez,
doesn't. Yeah,
way
I
to
mean,
sound like an American.
I'm an English
Ah,
guy. It does
European
nothing
Spanish.
for me.
Meh.
But you've got regional schedules for your GT3s now too, similar to what they did
Yeah,
for F4, was it, over on the Formula
yeah.
side? So
I I think it's good, but I think they might be overcomplicating it a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I
so
understand more series, but is it too many?
if I wanted to, am I able to join? Like, because the tracks are different, right? On each one of those, they're
Yeah.
regionally. So if I wanted to, am I able to join the European series?
So if it's similar to years past, yes.
Okay.
I believe years past when I ran it in Formula, which has been a couple seasons, it was just the tracks were regional,
Okay.
not the actual drivers.
Like, isn't there V8 Supercars the Australian only server? I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Yes.
Okay.
Which again, we can join it, but just know that your ping might be different because it's an Australian server. So
Okay.
your connection might suffer a little bit because you're trying to connect to them versus them trying to connect to us.
All right. And then we had patch one that just got listed today. And it looks like it's a lot of things, just some general issues. FOV calculator had a bug that was mixing up imperial and metric units, which was causing the FOV to be wrong. So I know after the build, we were kind of talking about how things looked a little different and your seating
Hmm.
position was a little weird. I'm wondering if maybe some of that might be taken care of here. There's some issues in the session screens, and if anybody wants to read through these, you can head over to the iRacing forums, and they've got all of them available there as well. Um, I'm not really seeing too much really in here. Dirt road cars had a collision and damage threshold that was increased. Apparently, they saw some issues with that. Um, it does appear that the UI, um, they moved some things around to make them larger size options for the virtual mirror and delta bar. So that was something I noticed when I was testing, that the delta bar seemed a lot smaller than what it used to be. And that I use all the time for my lap times to help me on that.
Hmm.
Um, Looks like garage screens had some issues. Some audio levels and the hybrid cars were updated. So, that might be something here when you go do some hybrid testing to kind of take a look at as well. It doesn't look like too much other than that. Ford Mustang GT4 had a problem with traction control setup that was thrown off. Some of the Formula One cars looks like they got some updates. Mexico City, there's a slowdown penalty in turn two that got increased. Um, Other than that, I mean, Sonoma had some floating objects, things of that nature that they tweaked, but nothing else super major that was done to affect that. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like a pretty, I don't know, bland build to me, other than the UI.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I like the cars that we got. Track I could care less for. I'm just not big of a Mexico City person. I'm still holding out for Adelaide from Australia, but
Sorry, I'm just waiting for Oxford Plains to have its lights turned on.
lights.
I mean,
Yeah.
we can't say that enough. Is just let me turn on the lights at Oxford Plains.
We always talk about, or we always discuss, which series receives more love or the most love, which series is neglected. Me being a big road guy, I can tell you that I've gotten a lot of love here lately.
Well,
And then
I
you look
mean
at our poor
NASCAR.
dirt folks.
Yeah, dirt guys, I feel sorry for them. Dirt road guys, I feel even more sorry for because that's just completely
Uh,
forgotten.
on the
But
dirt road, hold on. We're getting the little FIA cross
spec
cart
car,
deal.
yeah, we'll see when
Yeah,
that
yep,
comes
yep.
in.
That'll be interesting. But yeah,
We'll see on that one. You got any schedules that you've looked at that you enjoy or that you think you might enjoy?
I think for us personally, not specific schedules, but I know we've highlighted a couple of big events for this season. I know we're going to be doing the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which is not the official Le Mans, but it's kind of iRacing's way of getting around that conflict because they don't hold a WEC license. So it's kind of how they do that loophole. But we have the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I think we're going to do the 24 Hours of Daytona. Those are both in the Global Endurance Championship.
Daytona's not till January
Uh,
though, right?
the official one is.
Okay.
Now we have the Global Endurance Championship, which runs there this season.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the unofficial version of it.
And those are full 24-hour races?
Yep, full 24-hour
Oh
races,
boy.
GT3, LMP2, GTP. Um,
So I'm gonna have to
we
dust out
also,
the cuffed suit for a couple races, it sounds like.
yeah, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
got to get the cuffs back out versus the boot
Got to
cut.
get yeah, cuffs first, boot cut. Um, we also have Suzuka 1000. We have
I watched that
Bathurst
this last
1000.
weekend. Suzuka
You
1000.
did.
I watched bits and pieces of it. It's tough because Japan's. I mean, when it starts, it was like 11 o'clock at night for me. So then it's like, do I want to
Hmm.
stay up till 5 a.m. or do I want to go to sleep and then catch the tail end of it? And that's ultimately what I did. But Scotty Mack,
That's a
they
tough thing.
yeah, they finished
Yeah.
third, I think, in their first time out, second,
Oh,
third.
Scotty Mack with the
Yeah,
Corvette. Yep, yep.
yeah. So it's a good weekend for them. Um, be interesting to see. It seemed like it was kind of a foggy, rainy weekend all weekend in Japan for them, which I think is pretty standard weather. Um,
Hmm.
but do we get like similar humid, rainy weather for
Yeah,
these endurance championships? Okay.
yeah. It just kind of depends. I mean, they're gonna kind of line it up how they want. But if we go back to earlier on the year when we ran the Daytona 24, we had some foggy weather during that. So
That's true.
just depending on how they have the session set up, but
All right. Um, so you're looking at global endurance challenge stuff for this season is probably going to be your focus.
yeah,
How many of
Global
those
Endurance Challenge.
how many of those races do we have this season?
So they're every other week. There's a total of six of them. All of them are 24 hours long.
24 hours, basically every
So you
other week.
have every other week. So you have like I know Imola's
Oh,
on there, Monza, Daytona, Le Mans, believe Suzuka. So
we're going to have bags under our eyes here at the end of this if we make it
eh,
through the season.
it's a sacrifice.
Over under on chances we make it through the full season.
Oh, no,
No,
under.
under.
No, no.
Over under
I've got
on
two circles. I got Le
three
Mans
races.
circled
Yeah.
and I have Daytona circled.
That was
That's it.
kind of
That's
my
it.
thought was are we going to make three races?
Oh, we also have Petite Le Mans in there. That's an iRacing special event, so separate from those. But yeah, there's a lot of endurance races this week or this season.
For me, I'm really kind of just in a holding pattern waiting for Sarah Super Series to kick back up. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
busy during the week doing our weekly sets and kind of making sure our guys are at least competitive in those official races. So that kind of keeps me busy. Late model stock is probably really the only thing on the short track side that is super competitive. I think our super late model setups are probably one of the better setups that we can offer. And I'm hoping that we'll get some guys in this season that will kind of venture out a little bit more and maybe we can work on the mods a little. The legend cars, you know, I'm not. I'm happy that we got the updated legend car, but it's definitely not a focus of ours. I think it'll be late model stock and just kind of waiting for Sarah Super Series to kick back up. I know there's a national tour race at Martinsville
Hmm.
here in a couple weeks. I might try and run, but other than that, I mean, it's just kind of that weekly grind for me. Um, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I think we also have kind of an interesting thing coming up. I really want to kind of dig into this Ford GT4 car that we received on iRacing, very similar to the Dark Horse R car that runs in the Mustang Challenge.
Yep.
So I think we might do something with that. Maybe do a little league, something Sunday mornings, but we'll have to see.
There you go. And then the only other big thing from this season, iRacing kind of teased this really, really late, right before the build, is Cosworth Pi coming out. And for those of you that kind of aren't familiar, there's kind of the gold standard, in my opinion, for telemetry and data analysis is Motec. And then you've got some other stuff, Cosworth Pi, which is used by real teams, mostly I think overseas. Maybe Motec is more of a US based thing. Um,
Hmm.
and then like for Sydney, we have her Micron, which is owned by AIM, the same people that do it for US Legends cars. So we have kind of their software. And so iRacing now, with your iRacing subscription, you get free access to um, Cosworth Pi, kind of a base uh, model of it, and then you can subscribe to get additional features. And they say the subscription's, $7 a month or something. They say it's gonna be really inexpensive. And I mean, I kind of dived into it the other day. We actually have a video up on the YouTube of me comparing Cosworth Pi to kind of our gold standard that we've always used here at Team 53. I mean, basically since day
Yeah.
one, we've been on Garage 61, and I think that Cosworth Pi, it's got some pluses, it's got a lot of minuses, some things that I think it's going to have to work out, and it just you've heard my frustrations on this, that I'm frustrated just from the simple fact that I can't get it to save in miles per hour versus kilometers.
Yeah.
And something so
Yeah.
basic like that is going to frustrate people, I feel like, and it's going to turn a lot of people off. But, you know, it is what it is. I did a full video on that, so if you guys want to go and see what it looks like inside Cosworth Pi, you can head over to our page. It'll be on there. So, what do we got on TV this week? So I went ahead, I did a little bit of show research, pretty much until Thursday. There really isn't a whole lot. If you got Dirt Vision, Millbridge is on Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday night is when things kind of heat up. Well, I guess Wednesday night Flow has High Limit from Lawrenceburg, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday is Four Crown Nats at Eldora, and Lucas Oil Dirt Late Models are at Knoxville. So that'll probably be what's on my TV those nights, if I'm not racing or doing something there. And then we have Saturday tour mods are at New Hampshire along with the trucks. Cup is at New Hampshire on Sunday. And then we've got Battle of the Bricks Saturday and Sunday on Peacock, IMSA race at Indianapolis. So that should be pretty fun going on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. The race typically is pretty good every year.
Do we
Um,
have Motocross, Supermoto, whatever it's called this weekend?
yep. Yep. From Las Vegas.
So this is their
It's
championship,
gonna be
so
on
that's on.
Peacock.
Yep.
Yep.
Um,
Um, it'll be interesting to see how the Cups and trucks do at New Hampshire.
and then you're going to
Are they bringing
be
a new tire?
I'm not sure if they are or not, but you're going to be up here
Okay.
this weekend
I
anyways.
will be. Yeah.
Sydney is racing go-karts. Saturday, we have our choice of Road America or at Badger Kart Club, but we are confirmed to Road America.
So
Um,
I confirmed that when I booked the Sunset Cruise.
yes, when you booked our Sunset
Yeah.
Cruise.
So
Jacob is bringing, he lives about 4 hours from me, so he drives up every so often and he'll come up to Road America. Are you staying Sunday to go to Badger or to be
I'm
determined?
not.
Ah,
TBD. I mean, I'll stay Sunday, but you'll be on your own for Badger.
all right. I
I'll
wasn't
be heading
sure.
back home.
Wasn't sure if I could even get you for a little bit of the weekend on Sunday at
Nah,
Badger.
you
You
give me for
know,
Saturday.
Saturday at Road America.
Sunset Cruise. Yeah.
Road America for karting for me, and I've told this to people publicly. I like, we only have maybe 8 or 9 carts, so it works out really, really nice. In that, like Sydney, it's her first season. She's slow. We're working out some things with the carb. We think we made a little bit of progress with it. I still think there's something not quite 100% on it, but we're getting there. She has to learn to carry corner speed a whole lot more than what she is, and that's something I think we'll probably be focusing a lot on this weekend at Road America, is just keeping that corner speed going. for her. But the thing that helps her, I think, at Road America is that downhill, where if she gets
Hmm.
behind, she can kind of get that momentum built back up going down the hill at Road America. If you guys have never seen Road America before, I've got some videos of racing from the ground for Sydney on the YouTube page. But there's essentially it's a 50-foot drop. So you go down the front stretch, you go up this hill, and it's 50 feet up in the air, they say. And then you get to the top of the hill, and there's a hard right-hander, and then you start coming down the hill, and when you come down the hill, you come over a crest, and just as you're coming over that, you literally cannot see where you're turning left. And it's like
Yeah,
a
blind apex. I
blind
mean,
90
it's
degree
tough.
hard left. And
Yeah.
you come into that, and you can't see it at all. And she's done really good at figuring out getting through that, and then you kind of go through a little S, and then there's a I call it similar to like the Sonoma Carousel, where you come around that, you come down the hill, and she's really, really good in that corner. She gives up a lot at the bottom of that hill, the left-hander, but she's getting it figured out, and I'm really proud of her for where she's gone from this year of really never setting foot inside a cart to being here now.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of
And I think
interesting.
our goal, I mean, really our goal every week is just PB. If we can get a personal best, I think it's a win that weekend.
I keep
A
saying
PB with no damaged
yes,
cards.
cart back in one place, her back in one piece. If the cart's damaged, we can't race the next day. So that's kind of some incentive to her to kind of keep things a little more relaxed, I feel like. And it's
Hmm.
definitely, she's had some growing pains. We've bounced around some things, done some things this year, but she's definitely getting there to where I feel like next year maybe we can maybe be competitive and
Oh
not
yeah.
so much in the way. I mean, Road America, we beat a couple people usually, which is helpful to her ego. But it'll be interesting to see what car count is this weekend at Road America with it going head to head with Badger on the same
Yeah.
day because it's a Badger rainout day on Saturday. So Sydney wants to go up to Road America. So, and you've got the Sunset Cruise, so we have to, as much as I would like to be there. Donny in the chat says a PB on track deserves a PB and jelly off track. It'd be
Oh yeah.
a PB and jam. So
Yeah.
Capital says he always tried to pick one thing each week to get better at, made the process slow but much easier to focus on, and that's exactly what it is. Is we kind
Hmm.
of look at one or two corners every weekend, and that's kind of the focus. This last weekend when I was at Badger with her, we made a caster change, and what should have been pretty minute just
Threw it all off.
game over
Oh
for
yeah.
her, and it felt like I was back week one watching her race, just overturning into corners, over under driving. It just was not a good weekend. So
So how did she handle it? Did she understand that it was just a simple change that needed to go back, or did she get really frustrated with it?
oh, she got mad at me.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, once I told
It's part
her,
of it.
well,
Yeah.
exactly, and this is really the first time that other than air pressure we've ever really made any type of change, air pressure and gear, right? That's really all we've ever
Hmm.
changed on our cart. So it was really interesting to see like how she would handle that. And then ultimately, like, I gave her the one session, didn't really tell her what we were changing and just kind of told her like, just go with it, right? And she came back and she's like, it just felt different, Dad. It didn't feel right. And I'm like, well, did you make any changes or did you just, and she said she just kept driving the same way she had always done. And I'm like, well, this is where
Hmm.
you've got to learn. Like, you're going to get into a car at some point or into a cart at some point. It's not going to feel the same. And
Yeah.
you gotta adapt to it. So
Yep.
um, we left it alone for the next session. She went back out and she did better. She got to within 3/10 of where she was at the start of the day on the old set. So I felt like that was
Hmm.
pretty good improvement. But the first thing she said to me when she got off the track was, "Dad, put it back."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, I pretty much had it back before she even got a bottle of water open. That's a really quick change on those carts. Really, really easy change. It's just really remembering where your settings were. And then once
Hmm.
we got that put back to her, she ended the day, new personal best time for the day, which I was proud of. It was a 15 lapper, so she got lapped in it. But the big thing that I always remember too at Badger is, when we go to Road America, we talk about this a little bit, Jacob, you and I have. There's maybe one or two kids that are quote unquote nationally ranked or national caliber drivers. When we go to
Hmm.
Badger, there's 6, 8 kids on any given weekend that are running national events, just in her class alone, let alone the full track. So the level of competition is just insane at Badger compared to what it is at Road America. Um,
Yeah.
but
Which I think for her, it helps having those people around her. I mean, the last weekend that we were up there at Road America, it was very competitive. I mean, it was she was right there in the thick of it, and I think that ultimately helps her with her racecraft.
it does, and what I like too is certainly the people at Road America, the families at Road America, if the kid is struggling or if you're working on stuff, like they got no problem coming over and giving you advice, or if you need a question about something, you can go to them and talk to them. There's like 3 or 4 of us at Road America that we all share Micron data, and the kids will go over it together. Um, the top dogs will give you their Micron data. They're like, absolutely, here
Hmm.
you go. And you can kind of see where they're missing out. And I feel like at Badger, the top down doesn't really get um, anything there. Capital says first thing my
Yeah.
dad did was made the car tight and then loose to show me the difference in feels, and then made changes that helped me understand what to look for feeling wise. And I agree, Capital. I mean, a year ago in July was the first time she ever set foot or set her butt in a cart. So it's just been kind of a slow roll process. She doesn't really.
Mhm.
She started to watch racing a little bit more, but it's not like something where she's like, "Oh, a race is on, we'll sit down and watch." Maybe if an F1 race or something, but we can
Yeah,
figure
and we
that
talked
out.
about doing the sim for
Yes, yes, I
um,
think having a
getting
sim.
her some getting her some practice in sim, which no matter what anybody says, that definitely does translate. Sim to reality is a real thing.
Right. I mean, I have my late model, and I think you remember last year was really kind of the first year that I got to run it at all. And there were
Hmm.
times when I'd come off track and I'm like, it felt just like the sim. Somebody would spin in front of me and the exact same motion of on the sim would kick
Yeah.
in and
Oh yeah.
no big deal. Somebody spins me out, I'm chewing you out on the radio just like I do on the sim. So it
Uh,
definitely stuck there. But good combo there. If anybody is looking to get into sim racing, join our Discord. Jacob's been sim racing for a long time, various different sims. I've been on iRacing for, well, as long as Sydney's been alive, so 13 years. But we've got a lot of great deals. Impel Motorsports is one of my, I'd call it, premier partners. Um,
mhm.
they have real race car parts, sim racing parts, and accessories. Next Level Sim Rigs, Moza equipment. So if you're looking to get into sim racing, head over there. I'm happy to kind of help you out there. Jacob, you've kind of started your own little venture with 007 Custom Gaming PCs, just
Yeah.
helping
Yeah.
guys with not buying something pre-built, but also not getting taken advantage of, I think is
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean there's a couple places where if you go the pre-built route, you just kind of don't know what you're getting, and you might think you're getting one thing and it turns out you're getting another. So a lot of transparency is what I go on. Very transparent with what goes in it and what you're getting. Um, no, we can sit down and have a conversation, and I'll tell you exactly what each thing does, pros, cons, if you need it, if you don't, if you're kind of over specking it for what you're using it for, or hey, this kind of isn't going to be good enough or powerful enough. We might want to step it up a little bit. So no, we can definitely sit down and have a conversation about what's going in your computer.
Yeah, I know too. That's something that we've talked about with my PC. I kind of keep mine. I think I'm on year 3, year 4 of it. So we're
You just
definitely,
updated your BIOS.
yeah, BIOS update first
Yeah,
time. I mean,
2021 BIOS. Yeah,
listen,
we
all I'm
just
gonna say
updated
is
it.
iRacing never crashed on me in a build
Hey,
week until we updated the BIOS.
uh,
But I think like knowing to, and this just harkens back to iRacing, right? Knowing that iRacing is super CPU intensive is something
Hmm.
that a lot of people overlook, where they think they've got to have a 5090 GPU and, you know, the best of that, but then they might skimp on their CPU or on their board, or they'll buy a
Yeah.
50, they buy the 5090, but their board or their CPU is like, okay, that's great that you have this, but we're not going to be able to process this at all.
Exactly. Are you going to be streaming? If you're going to stream, then yes, you do need a pretty good graphics card with that. And
Right,
it's also setting the expectations. I mean, if you're putting one thing in your PC and you're expecting 200 FPS, well, let's kind of back that down a little bit to a reasonable 120.
right.
So,
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's all there. Um, the only other really big one of our sponsors, Overdrive Racing Oils and Lubricants, they are an independent AMSOIL dealer. I run AMSOIL in my car. Jacob, you've got it in your truck now, right?
got it in my truck. Yep.
Perfect. So there's a link in the description. Anytime you guys order from them, using that link, it basically gives this channel credit, which helps us put out our free Learn to Drive videos every week. Which, if you guys haven't watched those and you are at all interested in short track, I do ARCA and I do C Fixed. Pretty much every week, unless they're at a road course or it's Daytona Talladega, where there's really no point to it. Definitely check those videos out. We put those out free. They help support really our short track season pass subscribers. So team53racing.com, you can sign up for that. 53 bucks gets you the full season. If you're interested in road, join our Discord, hit Jacob up. Um, we're kind of trying to put together a little road team, like Jacob alluded to as well. He's trying to put together a Sunday morning cars and coffee esque type of league where you can just kind of show up,
Hmm.
maybe 45 minutes of
Yeah.
practice, enough time to learn the
It's that.
track, fairly
Yep.
basic track where it's not going to be a ton of, the Nürburgring or anything like that where you've got to
No.
learn
No.
300 corners. But yeah, we just
Very
kind of
basic tracks, iconic tracks, but yep.
perfect. Jacob, you got anything else?
That's it for me.
All right. So, Maiden podcast, we're going to try and get this uploaded to maybe Spotify, see if we can get it sent out. This one might not make it, but we'll definitely get ones in the future. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys liked about this episode, what you didn't like, things that you'd like for us to talk about a little more. First episode's always a little bit different because we got to talk about ourselves a little bit more than what we will on others. We got to kind of find our groove with everything, but we'll get there. Hit us up in the Discord. Link should be in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. And we will see you guys next time, I guess.